to this week's edition of the WiEA Pod. I'm Kirsty Franks. I'm one of the board members for Women in a State Agency. Every week we are bringing you stories from the wonderful and fabulous people across our community and across the industry. And believe me, today is no exception. Before we start though, I have to give a quick shout out to our partners that's making our podcast happen every single week, and that is the team over at Digital Sparks. If you don't yet know about Digital Sparks, you may have been living under a rock, but go and check out their Instagram, see what they're doing around social content for loads of different agents in the sector. So today I am joined by a very special guest. I have with me Colleen Babcock from our headline partner at Women in a State Agency. She's from Rightmove. Colleen is a out and out property expert, but today's conversation may take a slightly different path and let you behind a curtain that you may not have seen behind before. Colleen, welcome, my love.
Oh, thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous,
It's
I'll
okay.
be honest.
We're just going to have a chat. Me and you are going to have a little chat and a cup of tea. It's all good. It's all good. So I want to start talking a little bit about your career journey because it's unique, right? You went from theatre design to being one of the best property experts in the industry. How the heck did that happen?
Yeah, it was a real curveball.
Yeah.
It was something that, you know, if you'd asked me in my early 20s what I was going to be doing, this wouldn't have been it.
Yeah.
So I went to university in Canada. I did a degree in theatre design and production. I worked professionally in theatre actually all the way through my degree and right after my degree, which I did enjoy. It's a fun thing to do.
Was that like, this is absolutely what I want to do, this is my ambition, this is my vision, or did you fall into that?
No. That was absolutely something I wanted to do. I wanted to study theatre. I loved theatre. I loved art. I sewed from a very young age. I started sewing when I was about 8 years old. So, you know, doing that kind of thing, drawing, painting, all that sort of thing was
really
absolutely,
creative.
yeah, very much. And so really wanted to go to theatre school and did and enjoyed it. It was really good fun and it's incredibly creative and challenging. But I also started to realise that the theatre world and the production world of theatre is very different to what I'd expected. And wardrobe in particular is known as the pink ghetto.
Huh.
Yeah. And it was certainly that now. I don't know if it's still called that now, but then it was called the pink ghetto because it tends to be all women and gay men who are paid significantly less than typically male counterparts, or more often male counterparts in, say, you know, in set, who are carpenters, things like that.
And are probably not treated very well within the process of it, right?
Well, the interesting thing is the way that it's done in theatre is the person who does sort of the ordering, the scheduling, the sort of management side is one person who's called the technical director. And then the carpenter just has to build the sets. Whereas the head of wardrobe has to do everything the technical director does and basically all the building as well. So it's actually double the job for much less pay.
Yeah, but we're women, right? We can do double the job and that's just expected of us, yeah?
And it was one of those things I was like, you know what, I can't take this. I'm going to be bitter.
Yeah.
If I stay in this industry for 30 years,
Always
I'm going to get really, really bitter about it. And again, because I was so young and I was being offered really great jobs, I thought, where am I going to go from here? You know, what am I going to do? And a friend of mine who also worked in theatre said to me, look, you have UK ancestry. You could get a UK ancestry visa. Why don't you go to the UK? And if you miss it, great, it's for you, come back and do it. But if you don't miss it, fine, it's made the decision for you. But because you're further away, you won't just take the opportunities because they're there.
Yeah, go explore, go find out what there is out there.
Exactly. Although I did see that friend a few years ago and spoke to him, and he has no memory of that conversation whatsoever.
And changed your entire
It changed my
life.
entire life. And he said, and I think I might have been drunk.
Oh, well,
So,
listen,
you know.
some of the best advice can come from people who've had a wine or two. That's all I did.
Yeah. So that was quite funny. He didn't realise that he'd had that kind of impact and changed my life so much. But I did come here and I didn't miss theatre, but I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So I had a few years where I sort of did some random things because I was trying to find a path that felt like the right one.
So how did we end up in property?
Yeah. So I joined a networking group where I met the person who would become my boss.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I'm struggling and I'm trying to find my direction and I don't really know what I want to do. And he said, look, why don't you come and work for me and just do it temporarily? Just, figure out what you're doing, but just come work for me temporarily. I said, okay, great, because I really liked him and I thought this would be an interesting opportunity. So he owned an independent West London estate agent. So joined, and I was sort of doing like PA work for the sales director at the time and learning a little bit about the property industry.
Finding your feet.
Finding his floor. I remember my first day, literally, the whole about sort of this deep was paper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
His office.
Files after files after files.
And I just found the floor. That was my whole first day. But, when I was going through that process, I was learning about the property industry and how it worked. But then that sales director went on holiday for 2 weeks. And I said to Richard, what am I going to do? Because he's on holiday.
Nobody's to tell me what to do.
And he said, well, you know what? We have this CRM system and we don't know how to use it. And I was like, okay, great. Well, what have you got? And he handed me a manual. It was about this thick, 2 inches thick. And said,
what CRM was it?
It was Expert Agent.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'll read that. So I read the whole thing and rewrote all the comms that, all the triggered sort of letters that we used to send. We used to send letters then because it was that long ago.
Hey, listen, letters can still work now, done the right way. Yeah.
So we sort of set all that up. I sort of set up all the sort of things like the window cards and the property details to automatically create, and did all those automations, set up sort of a training.
This is literally the epitome of cutting your teeth.
Exactly,
right at the start.
And when I finished that and rolled it out, my boss said, okay, you're not going back to doing anything like the PA.
Yeah.
And then I was really lucky because at the time there was a marketing manager there who was great. She had a huge amount of experience. And so I worked alongside her a lot on sort of relaunching the website. I was really interested in sort of SEO and blogging and social media and things that were sort of fairly new then. And I remember saying to him, I want a blog. And he said, I have no idea what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
And, set that up and started doing that when really a lot of agents weren't doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so kind of fell into marketing,
the boundaries.
Fell into a state agency. And, I was there for 10 years. So, and I loved the people that were there. They were really fantastic. They were like a family to me. And there was always something new to get my head wrapped around. And, and that's really the only reason I left, is because I'd sort of run out of road.
Yeah.
In terms of challenges.
But it's so interesting talking to you because, the start of my career was very much about, well, I'll just try a bit of this in marketing and I'll say yes to this and I'll do a bit more of this, and just learning on the job and just thinking, well, the more I can learn, surely the better that's going to make me, and the higher that I'm going to get up the ladder. And it's so similar, your story, in terms of just get on and do, and that's how you learn. But I know that, you and I have talked a lot over the last couple of years around you getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And I know that this is very much one of your mantras and what you talk about. And I think you absolutely did that at the start of your career by just kind of, obviously coming over to a whole new country, throwing yourself into a whole new sector and just going, well, I'm just going to crack on and see what happens. But kind of talk to me about that, how that's evolved throughout your career.
So definitely embrace discomfort.
Like this
is very uncomfortable. When I came here, it was 25 years ago that I came to the UK. I knew nobody. I had no plan. I just had luggage and a plane ticket. And, that was, when I look back, I think, wow, that was a brave thing.
That was bold.
That I did. The first day I arrived, I did cry for about an hour. Like, what have I done? And then immediately sort of gave myself a smack went and found some other people who were Canadian. When I had an amazing evening, like the most fabulous evening with these complete strangers that I just went, hi, you're Canadian, so am I.
You'll do.
Let's go out. And had a fantastic time. So it, you know, and it was Guy Fawkes Day, and so we went to fireworks right next to Tower Bridge, and there were these huge fireworks and a big party, and you know, it was terrific. So then I kind of quickly got over that sort of nerve of what have I done. But even sort of with working in a state agency, I was learning things, I was trying things. Sometimes I was doing things on my own and kind of failing. So I had a personal blog and going, oh, that's not how you do it. Okay. And then trying things at work.
It's interesting, actually, you say that. We had a really interesting conversation with Vicky Barberis around getting really comfortable with failing and learning from that. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting how there's a lot of pockets of people and businesses that don't allow their team to be able to do that. But it's the quickest and best way for you to be able to learn, right?
Absolutely.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable with failing and learning from it.
Yeah. And I talk to my team a lot about that because I want them to be able to feel that they can make a mistake.
And it's safe.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And I sort of, I had 2 people this week quote me to me. Which
you know you'll need it. It's where you know it, Colleen.
So my team member sort of quoting me, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can't even argue with myself. You know, because I sort of talk a lot about like, do it, fail, it's okay. Nobody was maimed, nobody was killed.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But learn from it.
You know, it's fine. And so, yeah, I do hear that being parroted back to me, but it's a good thing that they feel that they know that they can do that. So important. But yeah, getting uncomfortable doing these things at Rightmove, because I've been at Rightmove 10 years. Actually, it was last week was my 10-year anniversary. Again, trying to find different ways to get a bit uncomfortable. Say, just recently taken on the role of being a spokesperson, say, doing media interviews, that kind of thing.
How do you find it?
It is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying.
But you say this, and last year you did the Women in a State Agency conference, and I know that you didn't find that terrifying.
No.
So for me, I was on the stage at the conference this year, and I was petrified, and I only had to introduce somebody else. But you were like, yeah, it's cool, it's fine. I'm just, you know, I'm going through my slides, I'm talking about my data, I've got this covered. Why is being a spokesperson on kind of industry publications more daunting than getting up on a stage in front of 450 people?
Yeah, I know it seems a bit weird. By the way, you were fabulous. You did a great job. But for me, public speaking for some reason has never daunted me. I've done it since I was actually a little kid. So we do public speaking contests in Canada. It's like a national program. And I begged to be part of it when I was like 8. And they were like, no, you have to be 10. And, you know, when I was 10, so I won all these awards and, you know, went to really high levels in these speaking contests. Loved it. But it is very different because when I am speaking, I'm in control. And that's the difference for me. I'm setting the narrative. I'm deciding what I'm talking about. I'm in control. Whereas if I'm doing media or even doing something like we're doing today, I'm not completely in control because there's someone else interviewing me and deciding what we talk about, the pace we're talking about it at, you know, all that kind of thing. You never know what someone's going to throw at you. So it feels very different because it does feel like there is less control.
You can't, I mean, you can prepare, can't you, to go into any of these situations? And I'm sure, like me, you do.
Yes.
Overthink and over-prepare. But you're right, when somebody else is in the driving seat, there's only a certain amount that you can prepare for, and you have to be prepared for the unexpected at that point.
Yeah.
But how do you overcome that? You know, how do you get to the point where you say, okay, yeah, this is uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to, you know, what's the end result of that for you? What does that mean at the end of you putting yourself through that pain?
Yeah, it's really funny because when I sort of was approached about being a spokesperson, and I never pictured myself doing it, just never imagined. And my first question when I was asked by my boss and by our head of PR was, why? Why me? Why would you? Because I just never saw it.
Why not?
yeah, I never thought about it. I really didn't. And they said, well, you have 20 years of experience. You're a great speaker. You're a woman, which, not a lot of media experts or people featured in the news are women, sadly. And also you stay really calm. And I was like, oh, I don't really see that.
There's a swan situation.
It's definitely a swan situation. And so I said to them, I'll try it. I'll do the media training. And if I'm terrible, I'm terrible. And we won't go ahead. And if I'm good at it, great. And we'll crack on. So I did the media training, which is hours long. And it's a journalist who goes for you. I mean, he said to me, I'm really going to go for you. I'm going to make this the hardest you'll ever experience. I was like, okay. And they video you, which also makes me uncomfortable because I don't particularly like watching myself on video.
Today's just the best day ever for you, isn't it?
So, hearing myself or watching myself in recordings is quite uncomfortable. But it was a really good exercise for me because although that was quite a grueling day, that afternoon was really hard. And he's sort of playing the video and then stopping it and then going, okay, no, you could have done that better, could have said that. Now play, and now stop. Now you could have done this better. And so it's being quite, picked apart.
Yeah.
But what I learned in watching that, as uncomfortable as it is, was, wow, I do look really calm.
Yeah.
I look really relaxed.
It's never as bad as what's in your head, is it?
No. And that was really interesting to me. I was like, oh, okay, there is some calmness there. I see that.
Yeah.
So we decided after that I would keep going. I would actually do the spokesperson work. At the time, our main spokesperson, just after I did that training, did give his notice to leave. He moved with his family.
So there's Spotlight Challenge.
And it was like, well, Colleen, now you're it.
Yeah.
And that again was sort of like, what? Because I was going to be sort of like one on the roster, not the person who would do the main, the main reports that we focus on. So that was, again, sort of a mental shift just before we went off on Christmas. And I was sort of like, okay, I'm now the spokesperson. But when I then shared that with other people and said, oh, I'm the spokesperson now and I'm doing this work, they're like, well, yeah, obviously.
So you talked before about there's not many female speakers, yeah? And you and I both know this is a topic that's recently coming up again and again and again. We're on the Women in Estate Agency Facebook group. It's talked about a lot. It's talked about on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people being called out for putting all male panels out there. I was asked a question on another podcast this week around whose responsibility is it to call out if there's an imbalance on a podcast or a panel or whatever that is. Is it the organizer? Is it the person speaking? Is it the audience? And my answer to that was, I think everyone has a responsibility, for sure. But we're still not there, are we? We're still not there. And, what's the answer? How do we, and, there's, Angharad Truman has put together a list of, here's all the female speakers and the different areas that they cover within the industry, which is great. It's a great start. I think, the thing that I shout about is if you want to be part of that and have a voice and be chosen to be seen and heard, then you've got to work on your personal brand because, you've got to be chosen based on your credibility, that you've got something to say and you've got a voice and you know how to present. But there's still a problem, right?
There absolutely is. And, it's something that I came along to the WiEA leadership training days, which happen in the Rightmove offices. And I shared when we first did our house price index that went out in January, and it went out for the first time with my name on it and my photo on it and quotes from me in it. So that was sort of a big moment of, it's the first time I'm putting my name to this. And the first email that I got back was from an agent saying that he didn't think that I knew what I was talking about, hun. And included several winky emojis.
Oh, my word.
I did just have to sort of sit there and go, okay, this has kind of changed the game in terms of why I'm doing this, because it's no longer just about my personal development. it's no longer
Now this is principle.
this needs to be for women.
Yeah.
And that sounds really a bold statement to
No,
make.
it doesn't.
But I'd also read around the same time a book, which is an amazing book called Normal Women. Huge doorstop of a book, but was mind-blowing. And one of the stats that was shared in that book is that only 29% of experts on the news are in fact women. And if you look for experts who are talking about the economy or finance, property included, that percentage is even less.
Not surprised, are you?
No. Sad though. Makes me
really sad.
And especially because I know that there are so many amazing women in this industry who are experts. They do know what they're talking about, but they're not getting the voice. They're not getting the airtime. Interestingly, we do get asked. So we do get asked by the media to have a woman. That's part of the reason why I was asked to do it, because we're being asked for a woman and there wasn't somebody that we could put forward. So there is a desire for it, but they're just not getting the opportunities.
But we want to be chosen because we are credible and are the right person, not for a tick in a box token exercise, right?
Absolutely.
So we have a long way to go.
We do.
Still.
We do.
Listen, we're fighting the good fight here. So I'm going to change angle slightly. So before we went on camera, you and I were having a little conversation about, unfortunately, something that you and I have in common. And I asked you in the conversation if you'd mind me having this chat with you on camera, because I'm in a similar boat to you in that I don't really share this conversation. I don't really share this area of my life. It's, I don't know, maybe we put a pin in it and think that's like a little secret that makes us look too weak and vulnerable. So let's just put it in a box down there. But we were talking about divorce, yeah? So both of us have been divorced, me for 10 years, you for 12 years. And your story absolutely resonated with me and also made me understand you more. And I think a lot of people, Colleen, will look at you and go, look what she's done, look what she's achieved, look at the position that she's in, and have absolutely no idea of the resilience that it must have taken you to get to where you are today. And, you know, I would love it if you would be comfortable enough to share a little bit of your story.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not comfortable.
No.
But this is all about getting uncomfortable.
So this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's something like you. I don't talk about it. You know, I will get up on stage in front of 1,000 people, absolutely no problem. Talk about property data, marketing.
Give me a marketing strategy presentation.
Problem.
We are there.
I'm on it. You know, absolutely no problem with that. But talking about myself is really quite difficult.
It's hard, huh?
It is difficult, yeah. And I don't talk about my divorce very often, unless there's someone, you know, in my circle at work, for example, that is going through it.
Yeah.
And then I will sort of bring it up.
Because it can help.
It can help them.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why I'm saying it today. That's why I'm talking about it today, because there's going to be somebody out there listening who is going through this. And it is incredibly difficult to navigate. And seeing your way to the other side is really tough. And I remember that feeling immediately after, and, you know, even for a couple of years after my divorce, thinking, you know, when will I get through this? And when will I get over it? And the thing is, I don't think you get over it. I think you get on with it. You know, it becomes part of who you are.
Take us back to the beginning then. What happened?
So I was married for 10 years. Absolutely adored my husband. And we had just gone on sort of a 10-year wedding anniversary trip to Tuscany, all terribly romantic and, you know, fabulous. And we got back and I could see he was struggling with something. I honestly thought he was unhappy in his job. I thought this was going to be a discussion of, I'm happy in my job, so
we can fix that.
We can, you know, we'll do this together. And so I confronted him and said, like, what's going on with you? What's happening? You need to tell me what's happening. And he came out with, I'm in love with someone else. I still love you. You've done nothing wrong. But I want to get married to her and have babies. And there's nothing you can say or do that is going to change that. And within the space of 2 hours, my marriage and the whole, the sort of whole of what I thought my life would be would just blew up completely. But I did, when he left, I made a very quick decision, and it was within this 2-hour period. I went, I am not going to be angry. I am not going to be spiteful. Wow. It was like, as he was walking out, it was like, and not for him, for me.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I want that for me. I want to be able to look in the mirror and say, I like that person. So it was a different choice. I think my friends struggled with it when I told them. They were like, well, I'm angry. They did the anger for me. The
Girl Gang Squad came.
Well, they totally did the anger for me, so I didn't have to go there. But I stick with that decision. I think for me, that's right.
Did you hold on to that resolve? Were there not weak points where the anger comes through?
I really tried very hard to stay focused on me and not on him. And there were times where I was really hurt by some of the things that he did. We were talking when I came in. There were days I had at work that I really wobbled. And my boss was amazing, because I don't particularly share if I'm struggling. That's something I'm not good at. I'm not good at asking for help.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. And there were a few days that were just so bad. And, things like, when you get the sort of Form E, anyone going through divorce, and this form is where it's sort of the financial declaration.
Here's my spreadsheet. Here's
yeah. And a few surprises came out of that form.
Yeah.
And I just, fell apart a little bit, and I just couldn't work. And I said to my boss, I was like, I can't today. I cannot get my brain. All I'm thinking about is that form. And he said, you know what? We had an in-house financial advisor, said, go get him, take him upstairs, lock himself in your boardroom, fill out the form, get it done. And I was so grateful, because it just got me over that really difficult hump. And then I had to sell my property, which the agency did for me. Yeah. And again, I had a big wobble doing that one day, where I just thought, it's all going to fall apart.
Selling the house is the biggest.
It was
so
hard.
Bit, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I found I struggled for the first about, I'd say 3 to 6 months. I wanted to hold on to my old life so desperately. And so I kind of constructed my whole life around preserve, like hold on to as much as I possibly could. And then I eventually got to this place where I was like, but I can't preserve
and
what
actually,
my life was like.
That's not serving you.
No.
And you realize that afterwards, but actually holding on to any resentment, any bitterness, the house, the friends, the life, what was. For me, when I bought my first house on my own and decorated it, my house looks like Laura Ashley's thrown up in it, because it's mine.
Yeah.
Nobody, that's it. But for me, that was so freeing. I think I was holding on to, I don't want to let this house go. I don't want to let it go. But then when I did and stepped into my new world, I was like, okay, this is a new chapter now. This makes sense. I don't know whether you feel the same.
Yeah. I found my friends really, really helpful in that sort of stage, because I was really holding on. And they were sort of talking to me about like, well, what do you like? What do you want?
You're not used to thinking about
No. And everything was in the frame of him. And I remember a friend saying to me, you know what you should do? You should just go window shopping. You don't have to buy anything. Just go around the shops and look at something and think, do you like that? And not, would he like that? Do you? And I was like, oh.
It's like reframing.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So I remember going shopping and being like, I want a leather jacket. That's what I really wanted. I was like, because I don't think he would have liked me wearing a leather jacket. I was like, I really want a leather jacket. I got a leather jacket, by the way.
Good for you, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like sort of like small things like that really helped. And I did have a few sort of, I think it was about 3 months in where I had some tough love from about 3 friends in the same week, which was really hard. And I remember them sort of saying to me, one of them said, he made you childlike and you were complicit in that. You let him do that. He would do a baby voice when he told stories.
Really?
Things like that. And I thought, he's right. And I remember it was on the phone and I just said, I'm just going to need to hang up the phone right now. I'm not angry with you, but I need to think about what you've just said. And he said, okay. And I sort of put the phone down. And then another friend said, he didn't let you be funny. And she was like, and you're really funny. But he actually had said, you know, I'm the funny one.
It's like lifting out of your life, isn't it? And then looking down on it and
It's
going...
sort of an out-of-body
experience, yeah.
And at first I fought the out-of-body experience. And then I went, actually, this is really good.
Yeah.
Like, and then I let go. I let go and it was like, I'm going to let the out-of-body experience happen. I'm going to imagine what my life could be. And then suddenly it started to become freeing. And at the beginning, I did make some wrong decisions. I did do some stuff that I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have made that decision.
Yeah.
But
it's part of the process.
Yeah, it's part of the process. But once I let go, it became so much easier. So I would say that if I had someone sitting in front of me who's going through the process now, that would be a big piece of advice I would have, is just get yourself to a place where you can let go, because it can become such an exciting process of redefining who you are.
But be kind to yourself throughout it.
Yeah.
Because you're allowed to make mistakes and you're allowed to not know the answers and you're allowed to fumble your way through it, but you will.
Yeah.
It just takes time, right?
It does. And the thing is, it isn't sort of like a very steady progress over time where it gets better. You have a great day. Then you have a terrible day. Then you have another good day. And then
You have the ice cream day.
So, and the leather jacket day, you know, so there's lots of different sort of ups and downs through that process. And just to know that that's coming and it's okay.
Yeah.
And you are going to wobble.
Yeah.
No matter how strong you are, you're going to wobble.
But because you've only got yourself now to stop yourself wobbling, when those wobbles happen in future, you are so much more grounded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing, Colleen. I really massively appreciate it. I know that was so difficult for you, but I think, you know, it's a testament to your strength, your mindset, your resolve, and just look at the incredible things you're doing whilst being this unbelievable ambassador for women across this sector, women in general. I have to kind of wrap up with I'm asking you as our key partner at Rightmove. There isn't anybody that I'm going to sit on these chairs with who is going to be more passionate about women in a state agency and what we're doing. But why is this movement so important in this sector?
Well, I think that experience that I had kind of really illustrates it. And to be honest, I was working in a state agency for 10 years before I came to Rightmove. And, you know, you experience people treating women differently. Luckily, I was given great opportunities in the role that I was in, and I've been given great opportunities at Rightmove as well. But there's so much further to go. And I think one of my big ambitions doing the spokesperson role is to try and pull out more of those property experts who are women that I know are there and try and give them some more airtime and more support and make them believe that they can do this. That's a really important thing for me. And I think, you know, when we first started working with WiEA and that very first event.
Seems ages ago.
Seems ages ago, but it's so etched in my mind. And I thought, wow, this is so important. This work that's happening is incredibly important and we need to get behind it. And it's really fantastic to see with my team how passionate they are about everything that WiEA is doing and trying to continue to find ways to support through the leadership courses, through, you know, the conference, the regional advocates, all the sort of work that's going on, and trying to make sure that we're giving you as much opportunity as possible to make this amazing work happen.
And honestly, Colleen, we can't thank you enough for the ongoing dedication and support that you give us. You know, we're making a difference, and the support that you give us is a huge part of that. So yeah, eternally grateful.
Our pleasure.
The last question that we ask everyone on the pod is, after you sitting here feeling this uncomfortable for the last 30 or so minutes, who would you like to see in this seat in one of the coming episodes? Who would you like to see share their story?
Oh, wow. There's so many amazing people in our industry that, you know, I've heard speak and are really incredibly inspiring people. So there's almost so much choice.
I know. I need one from you, Colleen. No one.
Quite know who to choose. I think, you know, there's some inspiration that I got from the WiEA event, which was actually very close to home, which is Jenny Barker, who's
she was incredible, wasn't she?
And, you know, although we worked together, I hadn't seen her in sort of that sort of light.
Yeah.
And she really nailed it. Now, talk about someone who's uncomfortable.
nervous,
She was
yeah,
very
really,
uncomfortable.
yeah.
But that was really inspiring that she did something that she was terribly uncomfortable with. And she did say straight away, we said, we'd really like you to do this event. She said, I'm uncomfortable, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of stuff.
But how great did she feel after?
Oh, she felt fantastic. Although demanded, she's a bit of a Diet Coke addict. She got off stage and went, "Where's my Diet Coke?" Because I promised her one. So she came straight
After you
off.
just shot confetti cannons all over the stage.
We love a confetti cannon. Any excuse.
So we're going with Jenny. We need to
Yes,
get Jenny on
yeah.
the seat. Yeah, we definitely need. Jenny, if you're listening, we need you to come and have a little slot with us on the WiEA Pod. Colleen, thank you so much. Thank you for being so open and honest and candid. Thank you for everything that you're doing for women in a state agency. Thank you for being such an incredible guest on the WiEA Pod.
Thank you very much.